Hello, everyone, and welcome. Sure the mic is working okay. Welcome to Satsang on this beautiful, rainy Sunday here in Seattle. Move this up a bit so everybody can hear me. Very good. Anyway, I decided to, just as I was setting this up, it just occurred to me to riff a bit on this subject as abiding in presence, or abiding as presence would do as well. Because it's a question I get a lot, right? You know, I got it and lost it. I was there and now I'm not there. And, you know, I had this great experience and now it's gone. And how do I stay there? Well, it's a subtle thing, really, as all of this non-dual inquiry is. We have to start with a basic truth, right? If the basis of our inquiry needs to start from a place that's true, because if it doesn't, we end up in the realm of speculation, of just basically mind chatter. Truth is what's always true, right? It was true before, it's going to be true again tomorrow, and it's true now, right? The truth is you are always in presence because you are presence. And all you have to do is close your eyes for a second and tune in to the simple sense of your own existence. It really is that simple. The sense of your own existence. That is the I am. That is presence. Eckhart Tolle uses the term presence and awareness and the self interchangeably, because we can. Right? The sense of presence is your being. Right? So are you never not present? Right? You're saying, I had this incredible experience. I was one with everything. You were obviously present. And then you say, I'm having a horrible experience. I've lost it. Everything's dull. I don't like it. Right? You have to be present in order to experience that. The big spiritual mistake is that we think that awakening is supposed to be some characteristic, some quality of experience. So that if I'm having the great experience, if I'm, seeing God and completely immersed in the oneness, then I am awakened. But if I'm not having that I'm not awakened. Notice that no matter what the experience is, presence must be there in order for there to be an experience. So it's simply a matter of putting your attention in the right place, of recognizing that the you, that sense of just being that is there, no matter what the experience is, and even if it's not in this calm, quiet sense of stillness, it has to be there or there is no experience. So when people say that abiding in presence, I want to be more in presence, I want to be more centered, I want to remain more aware and conscious. Let go of the idea that there's some particular quality of experience that is it, because it isn't. So then the question is, now we've established that you are always present, no matter what the quality of experience, whether it be ecstatic and there's just rainbows and unicorns everywhere, or if it's horrible and there's gargoyles and demons, you are present. And notice that's always the case. There's never a moment when you're not present. There's never a moment when you are not in the state of pure being. Because if you weren't, there'd be no experience. So then what is this that we're really looking for? Well, what we're really wanting to do is to train the mind to focus attention in the right place. You see, if I believe that my sense of well-being and my awakening is contingent upon the ups and downs of my experience, I will be forever fighting myself. I'll be forever attached to good feelings and ever averse to bad ones. And this is not about perpetually feeling good. It's about getting better at feeling, getting really good at simply feeling, and recognizing then that feeling can only occur because I'm already here. So now take that out of the equation, the idea that there's some particular quality of experience. And it doesn't really matter. And now where does the attention go? Where does the attention land when it's looking beyond the actual quality of the experience to the experiencer? When you see, belief is powerful, the mind is powerful. If I believe something to be true, I will experience it as if it were true. It will constitute the character and quality of the experience that I have. Whatever I believe, if I believe that having this makes me happy, I'll have that, and I'll have the emotional experience of happiness. But of course, because of the nature of duality, if I believe that having this makes me happy, it of necessity also means that not having it makes me unhappy. And thus, our whole sense of well-being goes up and down. So to abide as presence really means to be constantly bringing the focus of attention away from all the vagaries of experience to that place that is having the experience, which itself is not an experience. You don't experience yourself, you are yourself. Just like the eye cannot see itself, and yet it sees. It's the only thing it can't see, actually, except maybe your nose, right? Everything in the universe you can perceive. Everything. And so everything in the universe can be looked at and described relatively, except you. You can't do that. And the only way you describe yourself is based on the images and the descriptions and the opinions that others give you of you. They tell you this is you. If you believe that, it will literally compress experience into the container of that belief. This is the whole reason we get confused by this. When I believe something, it becomes the determinant of my experience. I only experience what I believe. The reality is you have no limitations on you because you are perfect presence. But because you are perfect presence and you have no limitations whatsoever, you can impose limits on yourself completely arbitrarily, right? And completely unconsciously, because we just tend to do it because we don't know any better. And then once we do that, we have this experience, and it appears as though the experience is proof. It's the evidence that this belief is true. It's always the belief that came first. So to abide in presence means to be eschewing or denying or removing your engagement and attention from what appears and putting all of the emphasis on that to which it appears. And it's easy to do. I mean, matter of fact, and just me asking you to do it for a moment, to just kind of cue into that sense of presence, the sense of your own being, you're already there. Now, the mind will leap because the mind has been trained to go out. It's like a dog. It's chasing the stick constantly, right? It brings you back the stick, but it just wants you to throw it again. It doesn't actually want to stay there. Right? This is the way the mind works. So the whole discipline or practice of spirituality, meditation, inner reconciliation, all of these is to bring the wandering mind back, right? To stillness, back to presence, right? So that the mind then slowly but surely becomes your servant rather than the bane of your existence. But you can't do that until you recognize that the experience is being shaped by your beliefs. Right? Nothing out there is objective. Nothing out there is real on its own. Nothing out there is absolute. Because of our ignorance, we think, okay, if I'm experiencing in my life, that's the truth, and that my beliefs came from that. Right? It's actually not true. The experience came second. The beliefs were formed first, and most of the beliefs you have were installed in you long before you had any capacity to even recognize that it was happening, let alone exercise some discrimination. Say, "Whoa, that's a crappy thought. I think I'm not going to think that." Excuse me, I need a sip. So anyway, is that clear? It is. It is. The only reason it's difficult is because we have all been trained to believe that what appears in front of my senses is actually objectively real. If I see it, seeing is believing, right? It's not true. Believing is seeing. My beliefs form my perceptions, forms my focus of attention, and my focus of attention filters out everything that contradicts that belief, amplifies everything that does, and therefore literally manifests my belief. When this is understood on a remedial level, you get things like the law of attraction and manifestation and new thought and the like. All of those are good up to a point, but and in fact, it's true. What I believe manifests as my experience. Okay? But until we come to see what and who the I is, it's incomplete, because now it'll be the belief, which is the egoic mind, trying to change itself to get different results. Right? And so, Ramana Maharshi put it beautifully. It's like the police unwittingly hiring a thief to be a policeman to catch the thief. And he's the policeman. How likely is it that he's going to catch himself, right? This is the way it gets. The ego has to be seen for what it is. So I even did a course on that called the Four Powers of Creation. Attention, then perception, then belief. But the big one, the one that gets left out of all of the metaphysical, is identity. Who is the I? That's the difference that you get here in Satsang, because that's the only thing that matters, because that is the fundamental belief. All of the beliefs arise from there. And if you don't get to that, you're just going to be chasing one after another. It'll just be one thing after another. All right, I will let that go for now. A simple introduction. And so welcome again, everyone, to Satsang. And by all means, all questions are welcome. But if I don't get to your question, people are getting them in earlier and earlier now, I notice. If I don't get to your question, don't let the mind tell you that your question hasn't been answered. Right? Believe me, if you're here, something I say will be answering your question. Right? That which is guiding you, right, has guided you here, and it will guide the words out of my mouth. And I might not address yours specifically. I'll do my best to get through them, but just keep it in your heart that what you need is always available and coming to you. It's always being provided. Before you call, I will answer. Before you, it says in the Bible, one of the things that's worth reading about the Bible. So again, it's our belief that it has to come from somewhere else, and therefore we deny the infinite resources that are available to you right now. And the only reason they're right now is because you believe they're not. It really is that simple. But transforming the mind, right, so that it no longer follows that line of reasoning, but is brought into harmony with the Tao, with the truth. That's the whole practice. And it's not hard once you understand what it is, right? Because it'll be constantly reminding you. So, on that note, hello, Rosario. One of my gentlemen in Madrid. There's Lesa. There's Robbie in Romania. There's David and Elaine in England, Southeast England. Ava in Poland. There's Roberto. Hello, Roberto, also in Madrid. Sue McIntosh. Hello, GP. Waiting in anticipation for satsang with you and all these beautiful people. Me too. My chic, Faith. There's Mary Sykes. Hello, GP. Faith. I've been observing myself these days, and I'm curious why I feel lazy to prepare for the exam. I need to pass for my immigration dream. I passed days enhancing my CV, but did not apply for any position abroad. Why am I doing that? Well, I want to move and have a job and live in a better place. I paid for the preparation, and I'm ready to show up the day of the exam, but I don't prepare. I plan to study. I have enough time to do that, but I'm not preparing. This is very common, right? Because the only thing that's really keeping you stuck where you are these unconscious patterns, right, that don't really want to change. I mean, let's look at it carefully. We've become uncomfortable with where we are. Right? We want more freedom. We want more freedom of choice, more freedom of opportunity, everything that comes with the freedom, especially considering you live in a pretty oppressive environment. So, of course, we want to be free of that. But what that means is that your life will change dramatically, right? You really don't have any idea what this new life would be like, right? Now, your nervous system, remember, at the most primary level, its job is keep you safe. Now, what's the best way for it to do that? To keep you in the environment in which you are safe. Maybe not happy, maybe not prosperous, maybe not feeling joyous every day, but nonetheless, it is safe, right? Remember, safety isn't interested in anything but safety. So the fact that it's uncomfortable and unpleasant and you really want more for your life is irrelevant to safety. And it is the most powerful drive in the system. It has the capability to shut everything else down. So take some time to just visualize a little bit, right? And I'm not trying to make a manifestation visualization, anything like that, but visualize yourself in a new life, right? And that has a dual effect, right? The first effect is that it gives you a vision. The vision isn't just get away from here. The vision is towards something, right? The more you do that, the more the sweetness of the opportunity arises. And with the sweetness of that, it begins to counteract the resistance to it, right? So now that it becomes alive in your mind. And you'll notice how when you try to envision what it would be like, that the safety mechanism tries to shut it down because it's disturbing, right? We can't vision that. That's not good. But so if you're really vigilant about letting yourself have a vision of what it might be like, doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be accurate, doesn't have to be exact, right? Doesn't have to be precise. Just what would it be like? Maybe, just not having to wear the habib, walking down the street, buying the kind of clothes you like to buy, meeting different people, having totally different experiences, right? Feeling free. You can just really put some energy behind that so it begins to feel palpable. And with that, the message will be delivered to the energy system. Yes, this may be safe now, but it's not acceptable anymore. Now don't fight with the inner energy that's resisting, because that's all that is. The procrastination, putting it off, the feeling of being lazy, suddenly not having any energy, any energy to do it, right? This is the nervous system trying to shut it down. And the closer you get to realizing it, the more it's going to try to shut it down. So you have to become very gentle, very loving. You're not angry at the safety mechanism for trying to shut you down. You're not. You're just giving equal time now to the desire. Right? The other thing it does is begin to establish a balance in the flow, an equilibrium. Because of course, you would not want to do anything in your life, take any step that would make it worse than it was. Right? But you have to gently be in this position where you believe it with all your heart that it's going to be better, right? And you're giving yourself the freedom to find out. Right? that's okay, right? The safety mechanism will eventually understand that and say, okay, we'll find out. But if anything goes wrong, I'm pulling the plug. And you go, fine, just do that. So you need to step into a place of inner mastery where you own both sides of the equation. And a little bit of EFT will help with this, help the whole energy system kind of bring it into balance. But visualize it even as a flow, right? And make sure that you're picturing not what you're trying to get away from, but what you're trying to move to, so that the sweetness begins to gather some energy. So the light side of the equation is getting equal time to the dark side of the equation. This works for everything that you've ever wanted in your life but don't have. The only reason you don't have it is because there's some part about it that the energy system has said it's not safe, and it's done it so thoroughly that it's even shut down the capacity to envision it. So if you start picturing what it's going to be like, and it's blurry, right? You can't hold a picture. You find yourself getting distracted. Gee, I wonder what's for dinner. And you go, oh, that's it. That is the resistant energy saying, let's shut this down before it even gets started, right? So you just persist, right? Again, it's not a fight. You're not fighting with it. You're going, thank you. I know you have to keep me safe, but I really want this, right? This would be better for all of us. More freedom, even more safety. So let's work together here, okay? Let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Right? So that's the way I work through these things. Right? And so visualize it, and then just let the whole thing go. Right? And then sit down and say, okay, what do I need to do to make this happen? And you can even engage the nervous system in saying, help me pass these tests. I need to pass these tests. And again, you can probably I don't have one, but you can probably find EFT videos on exam, on fear of exams or anxiety over taking tests. I'm sure there's some out there. There's millions of EFT videos. Those will help. Those will help as well. I know yours isn't anxiety; it's slightly different, but I think it would work because nobody but me is going to make something like exactly to what you're saying, and I'll add it to the list of things for me to do. How's that, Faith? I think everyone can benefit from that. Right? Anybody who's facing blocks and feels that they are stuck, you're not really stuck, right? The only thing that gets stuck is beliefs that we haven't scrutinized yet, right? And taking this active role in being the inner peacemaker between the various components of us, because our desires for improvement, a better future, a brighter life, more of everything, more abundance, more opportunity, is natural to us as the need to protect ourselves. Right? You're not making this stuff up. It's not a personal possession. You didn't really decide, I really want to have this. Your desire for more freedom awakened in you, right? As it does in everybody at some point. And it simply has run into the old patterns. And so it's got to get stronger, like a child has got to get stronger until it can stand on its own. So it's just giving it equal time without denying the significance of the other. Can you just feel the inner harmony that brings you into the Tao? So beautiful, Faith, beautiful. Hello, Nazarene. So good to see you. There's Milo. What if if one doesn't really feel anger? Can it be shut down? Sure, it can. But don't assume because you're not feeling angry that, oh my God, there's angry there. I've suppressed it. I've got to get to it. That won't do you any good. This isn't a witch hunt, right? You don't want to be suppressing anger. You want it to allow it to express itself, but you also don't want it to take over, right? A lot of people have a hard time expressing anger, especially if you expressed any anger when you were a kid and it made it worse, right? Many people have had that experience. So it was just dangerous to express any kind of disagreement or anger. And kids do have anger, right? My kids did, right? I watched my granddaughter get really pissed off about some things, right? And and of course, as you get into the teenagers, everything is unfair, right? So, just if I'm not feeling anger in this moment, you can simply say, "Is there some anger here that I need to fear?" And just be open to it, right? And if not, say, "Thank you very much." Right? We don't want to imagine something is there, right? You're not feeling angry. Okay, good. That's the mind anticipating what you should be feeling, right? So now I would ask, what are you feeling? What feelings are there? Right? I'm not feeling anything. Well, that's never the case, right? Feel your body. Can you feel your foot? Can you feel your knee? Right? Can you feel your stomach? Right? Can you feel, is there any tension anywhere? Is there any kind of contraction? However slight, just train yourself to feel. That's what the yoga of allowing is. Training yourself to feel without judgment or without contradicting it. Right? And then if there is stuff suppressed, the more you give yourself permission to feel, the more it has permission to come up. So some anger may come up. You may find some anger there about things you didn't even realize. So remember, this is inner reconciliation. My whole approach to energy healing is not intellectual. It is not analytical. It is a dialogue with the energy itself. It's getting to understand the language of emotions, the language of the body, the language of the Tao, right? Which has way more potential for more tools of expression than merely words, like music, right? Everybody responds to music, but what is music saying? Well, it's only saying what it's saying. We, after it gets written, we put a name on it and we say, oh, it's the heroic symphony or something like that. But what it's just what it is. But it is clear that there's a message there that we all understand. So remember, as a child, the only way you could survive is to shut down your capacity to feel. And what we're doing is reviving it. We're resurrecting it. Right? And so I don't feel anger. So what? Who said you were supposed to? Right? But if there's some kind of a block somewhere, or there's some kind of relationship that's a little bit strained, or some really horrible things happened in your childhood, we don't force it, right? Just let things happen. Because remember, anger is only a defense against the vulnerability. It's a way in which we defend ourselves when, it's anger, which is fight, and fear, which is flee. They're the two feelings. They both get suppressed when you're a kid. They have to, right? So All you have to do is be present, just like I said at the beginning, to remain with that which is aware of it, giving all of your inner experience complete permission to just come up as it wants to in a way. Even the idea, I should be feeling angry, is an imposition on the system. Right? It's saying you should feel different than you actually are. Right? Which is exactly what happened to us when we were kids that created the suppression in the first place. So you go, oh, right, okay. So what am I feeling right now? When I think of this, whatever the particular symptom or problem is, what feeling's running through my body? If it's something I'm wanting, but it's just not working, it feels uncomfortable, going, oh, what's this feeling about it? Without denying anything. So hopefully that clears it up for you, Milo. Suzanne, hi G, how can I forgive myself? Really have trouble with that. Thanks. Forgiveness comes with understanding. It is simple as that. When you understand how things got the way they did, why you did what you did, why anybody does what they do, the forgiveness just happens. There's a perception of their original innocence. Now, what I mean by original innocence is that, as in the beginning, just that feeling of being, that pure feeling of being. You didn't create it. Nobody told you about it, right? You have just simply always known that you are. I exist. I am. The sense I am has always been there, absolutely pure. And no matter what happens in our life, it's still there, right? It hasn't been touched. It can't be touched, right? It's no more been colored or tainted by anything that's happened to you than the sky is messed up because a huge storm goes through. The storm goes through, it goes away. The sky remains untouched. Not even a trace is left. Everyone is like that. Everyone has that original innocence that has never been touched. So everything that you have ever done that you now regret, or anything that's ever happened to you that you're bitter about, right? Were all done by the conditioning. None of it was done by the innocence. The conditioning happens as simply the nervous system responding to the environment, conforming itself to be able to survive in that environment. Right? And it does that purely because when it survives, it is a vehicle of self-expression for the original innocence, which is not being touched by any of it. And that's the only purpose of the human system, of the body-mind complex, is to give expression to that original innocence, which is always there. It's been there in every single body. It's there. It watches the body die. It watches a new one be created. It watches all of the thoughts and energy and programmed responses and conditioning and emotions. It watches it all appear once again, and it remains unchanged, lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. So it is conditioning that did something that needs to be forgiven, not you. You believed yourself to be that, and therefore this act, whatever it was that you need to forgive yourself for, right? You taken on as if it was yours, right? It was only due to unconsciousness. If there was consciousness there, it wouldn't have happened, right? Nobody purposely does anything bad. It is always some kind of unconsciousness, some kind of missing of the mark, right? I thought this was going to be good for me. Turns out it wasn't, right? That's pure unconsciousness. And by unconscious, I don't mean out cold. I mean the conditioning is acting itself out, and it's just conditioning, right? The way, you do something on the computer responds. There's nothing there that's sentient, that's going, I wish I didn't do that, right? It's just a machine, and it's just a machine. The problem is you've identified with the body, so you don't know that it is just a machine, right? And all it's done, it's a very smart one, and so all it's done is has adapted itself to an environment in the most advantageous way that it can. Right? And what does that have to do with you? Nothing. So, and remember, it's a very elaborate system. So it's got programs set in place. So no matter what happens in the environment, it knows how to respond to it. That's why it doesn't like change. So if somebody does a particular thing, you'll respond in a particular way until you're conscious and go, oh, that's just the robot responding. That's this organic computer responding. Realizing that, I could say, I don't actually want to respond that way. I think I want to do it differently. And you can make a more loving choice, a more intelligent choice. So hopefully this is sinking in, because when you embrace that, you realize that you have never done anything worthy of forgiveness. You've never done anything wrong. It's the slate has been completely wiped clean. Now we see, yes, maybe you, prior to knowing that, in the identification, the robot, right, the organic computer did do things that were hurtful to others, assuming it would benefit in some way. And at that point, you recognize that in the heart of your hearts, you want to, as best you can, rectify it. And if you can, great. But if you can't, that's also great, right? There are some things in life we cannot undo. And when we realize that's the case, it actually adds a lot of energy, a lot of motivation to transforming this organic computer so that it is more and more responding in the way that's consistent with the original innocence, with who you really are. Right? So who is it that did something that needs forgiving? Was it you? And the way to just check that out is, if I was really aware of what I was doing and the consequences of what I was doing, would I have done that? And of course, the answer is going to be no, I wouldn't have, which means I was unconscious. That's why I did it. I simply didn't know any better. That's what Christ meant on the cross. He said, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Right? Don't. And that word forgive is very important. It doesn't mean pardon. It doesn't mean you were bad, you should be punished, but I'm letting off the hook. It means to be vindicated. It means to be found not guilty. So he really said, Father, find them innocent. They didn't know what they were doing. And in doing so, he literally completely negated their crime. Right? There was no victim. Without a victim, there's no crime. I mean, this is, he took on the sins of the world and vindicated it through innocence. Right? So, forgive me, I didn't know what I was doing. And the Father refers to your deepest self, the real you. Me, the Father, God, the I am, that sense of being. Forgive me, because I didn't know what I was doing. And bring me back into you. Right? Dissolve me into you. Until there's no more me, there's only you, which is then me. How's that, Suzanne? Thank you. Karen, hello, GP. Is it important to accumulate a lot of spiritual knowledge? No. As a matter of fact, it only gets in the way. You need only as much as you need. I accumulated a lot, and it's useful now because I'm a spiritual teacher, but and I can speak in to a lot of different traditions and states of mind, but no, it's not necessary. In fact, there's a story of one great. It's a koan. It's it's that important. One great Zen master who was a great pundit. I mean, he was just so learned. He knew everything about the scriptures and about everything, about everything. I mean, just knew everything. Nobody could touch him in a debate. He was just brilliant and articulate, and he had a short dialogue with the Zen master. They were talking about something, and he went off about stuff, and the Zen master simply said to him, "Yeah, but who are you?" And it just went right into his heart because he realized he had all this knowledge. He had no idea who he was. He literally, according to the story, right? Who knows? It's a very long time ago. Burned or gave all his books away, all of his knowledge. He got a job as the caretaker of basically a graveyard, where he lived there in solitude, right? We're doing nothing but meditating and basically unlearning everything he taught, asking himself the question, who am I? You don't need any spiritual knowledge to probe that question, because it is not a question that can be answered by any knowledge. It's not in any books, right? Because you are the answer to that. You are not in the book, you are here. And so the spiritual knowledge can come and be useful, but be clear, it is not necessary in the slightest for self-realization, and in fact can get in the way if you rely on it. We can get our heads filled with concepts. We can talk about pure awareness. We can talk about nirvana and, arhat and the 8 stages of the 4 noble truths and the 12 links in the chain of causation. We can talk about the karmic patterns. Right? None of those are of any value whatsoever for enlightenment. It is simply, all you have to do is just what I did in the beginning when I said, just put your attention on that sense I am, because that's you, right? Notice that's not in any books, right? The true knowledge is the knowledge of the self, and the direct knowledge of the self can only be gotten from the self. It doesn't matter how much you talk about it, how much you read about it, how much you think about it. It is beyond all human research. It is transcendent of all human concepts. So just be with yourself. And then what spiritual knowledge you need, the knowledge that will actually participate in and help bring you to freedom, will just come to you. It'll just show up. You don't need to seek it out, right? And now, whatever knowledge I do seek out is simply to help me put together courses and the like, to help me how best to teach it, right? How best to point people beyond all the knowledge. So, this is not, this is not a university course. It is a matter of fact, one of the greatest Zen masters of all time, I can never pronounce his name because he's Chinese, was illiterate, couldn't read or write. He was just out one day. He was a young teenager, and he heard somebody on the street reciting the Diamond Sutra. Woke up. Just complete awakening right there. And then ended up going and meeting the Zen master and becoming the 6th patriarch of Chinese Zen. And patriarch, that's like the Dalai Lama. I mean, it's like the pinnacle. And at that time, he was also the last. He's the one that decided that there would be no more patriarchs. So anyway, I hope that answers it for you, Karen. See, the big problem with spiritual knowledge is that it keeps the mind engaged, because the mind loves to be engaged in thinking about things. And instead of simply abiding as presence, becoming intimate with the sense of being, which at first seems like it's just, okay, there's a sense of being, now what, right? But like anything else, You look at something, yeah, okay, that's, yeah, so what? But then you look closer, you spend some time with it, suddenly it becomes amplified, all these aspects of it showing up. And it's like, wow, it's kind of like a relationship with somebody that, you first meet and you're not impressed and you have another conversation. Oh, they're kind of nice. And little by little, all sorts of things open up. And before you know it, it's like, cue the violins. And you're constantly learning new things about each other, and this wonderful thing that's unfolding. Where at first you could have just been, dismiss it. Yeah, I don't like that about it, right? His hair's too long, your feet are too big, But if you just stay present with it, because the teacher tells you to, it says, look, stay there with it. Hang out with it long enough to see what happens, right? What happens to that sense of being when you just stay with it? What effect does it have on the whole rest of the emotional system, right? What things, what new kinds of thoughts does it bring to mind? What new kinds of impressions, perspectives? What effect does it have on reactivity? Just that sense of presence, because that sense of presence is yourself. It is not. There's not a you with the sense of presence. It's not two. That is the self. And the I, the sense of I, the thing that sees it, there's a me and I'm experiencing this, eventually completely merges with it until that I is no more. I am that. Everything is the Supreme Being, which is Sat Chidananda, being, consciousness, bliss, and you are that. That is right from the Ribhu Gita. So, thank you, Karen. Hello, Dorte in Denmark. Martin, hello all. What are the different phases of grief and how to process it best? Well, I'm not a psychologist, right? So I wouldn't say, well, here's the phases of grief, because they do say that people go through phases, disbelief and anger and and the like, and you might, right? But the moment you think that these are the phases I'm supposed to go through, remember, whatever you believe becomes manifest your reality. So you'll find yourself going through these phases. Do you have to? No. But if you believe you do, you will experience that, right? The way I deal with grief, for myself or anyone, is to remain fully present with it. Notice that to even take away the word grief, there's just an enormous amount of feeling in the body and in the emotions. Right? If it's someone or something or some experience or some dream that has been lost and is not recoverable, your whole energy system has to make a shift. Right? Let's say it's a loved one, right? That your spouse or something that that breaks up with you unexpectedly and divorces you unexpectedly or dies. Right? They're gone. There's no way you can get them back. It's irrecoverable. And yet over time, there's been this circuitry that has formed, right? Right. The way you think, the way you feel. I mean, it's like, oh, how's this going to affect her? What, I mean, you've joined, right? You have merged into a single functioning being, really. So when that's broken, right, the whole system is broken. Your whole system is broken. This is the feeling that we call grief. It's the system trying to reestablish it, right? That's the first thing it's going to try to do. It's going to want to, let's get this back. Can we get this back? How can I get this back? Any way I can I get it back? Because there's that sense of desperation until eventually it recognizes it's not coming back, right? Now, the most important thing about this when you're processing grief is to not make up stories. Right? Why did he do that? Why did she do this? Maybe we could do it. If only I had done this. All of these things are ways to get into the head and not feel it in the body. If you just stay with it in the body, it will resolve itself. It will find a new equilibrium in the shortest possible time. That could be a minute. It could be 2 weeks, right? It won't be years. I can guarantee you that, because the system is much more adaptable than that. Right? but it has to be given the space to be adapted. So you'll notice everything it tries to do, right? Be it hold on to something or reframe it or grab onto something else. You just notice that it's doing that. You don't have to tell that these are phases that it's going through. Just know that it's going to simply try to recreate it, get it back, get into your head so you don't feel this, try to artificially manufacture something else, and you just don't let it do that. You stay with the feeling. You stay with that disappointment, the disillusionment, the pain. And if you can do that, you will recover in the shortest period of time. If you don't, it can be a low-level grief that goes on for a lifetime. That happens to people. They never really process the grief. And if you do that, you're stuck. Your whole life will be contracted, right? You won't be open to anything else. You won't be, your life will be very flat, right? Because all of that energy that is normally goes into life is now just kind of holding down this little volcano. So, so don't think of it in terms of the phases. Whatever comes up about it at the time, that's the phase. It may follow a pattern that has been, documented and studied. It may not. Just don't expect anything. Just abide as presence, being presence. You're there, and your only mission is to support the whole energy system as it makes this very significant adjustment that's painful to make, because you have to let go of something that is not coming back. How's that, Karen? Oh, no, that was Martin. Sorry, Karen. There's Faith again. Let's see. Hold on. Lost it. In Sufism, they talk about feeling the presence of your sheikh in the heart. I've experienced that very few times thinking about you, my sheikh, feeling your presence and hearing your warm voice, Baba. Oh, beautiful. Yes. To feel the sheikh, the teacher, the master in your heart, is to realize that that's where the master always is, right? And my voice is only reminding you of that, okay? Because I'm not in your heart, right? It's the energy you feel from me, you feel in your heart. It recognizes itself. Now, that's you. That's all you. And my only job is to direct you back to that, so that this is the honoring of the guru or the sheikh, right? The teacher. And you honor them as the representation of this, and little by little they fall into your heart through love, through inquiry, through devotion, until they merge with you and the guru disappears. And it's just you. You and the guru then are one. So lovely. Thank you, Faith. Annette, good morning. Good morning to you. Is it possible to stop chasing motherly love when you are an adult, but never really experienced it as a kid and a teen? Oh, thank God, yes, it is. But we have to come to terms with the grief of it, right? Remember that every child, when they're born, inherently knows what they are supposed to be getting. There's a built-in expectation that I'm supposed to be loved, adored, right? Honored in every possible way. Treated like the Messiah, right? The perfect, we have this model of the virgin birth and all that, the perfect child, the perfect parents and all of that. This is what we all expect. It's inherent, and we need that, right? We need that in order to feel safe, because we are totally helpless. Well, human mothers don't meet up to that, especially nowadays. It was a whole lot different, before agriculture, the hunter-gatherers, it was much more tied to the earth. So, and that's why we came to learn to expect it, because we always got it, right? So it's very, very strange that we live in a time where we don't get that. which has created an existential conflict in our energy system. Because we're supposed to get it from them, we don't get it, so we assume it must be my fault. There's something wrong with me that I didn't get it. It can't possibly be them. Right? I can't possibly admit that those who are here to keep me safe are incompetent. Right? Now I'm really in danger. Right? It's better that it's, they're good, mommy, daddy good, God good, me bad, than to think, oh my God, this God is a maniac. He's a psychopath. Now what do I do? They've got all the power and they're batshit crazy. Right? They're not taking care of me. They're not doing their job. I'd be in a total panic. Much better for me to think I'm broken, something wrong with me. I'll try to be better. Right? But of course, deep down inside, you know you're not getting what you need, and you know it's not your fault. Energetically, right? But at the depth of you, you know it's not your fault. It's your original innocence. But right above that is the assumption, the energetic assumptions that it is my fault. And then you spend your entire life trying to compensate for that. I never felt loved. Right? It just didn't happen. Right? I was 2 years old when I got tied into bed. And I remember that night vividly to this day. It's the first memory I have. And I was just so destroyed. It was like my childhood ended. It was like I became aware. And in that moment, I knew I was on my own. Nobody was going to help me. And that's a belief that still persists, still makes it difficult for me to ask for help. Right. Right. And even though all this time, and I notice that I recognize it, I'm gentle and loving towards it. But I have learned to once again, through the connection with the original innocence, which was never touched, it never needed that. It doesn't need, in your essence, you do not need that. The nervous system needs that, right? Not you, which means you can now give it to the energy system. You can become the mother. Last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of private sessions with people, and it seems all those things are coming up, just horrific stories of child abuse. And I do some guided imagery and some tapping and stuff to basically bring the adult you into the picture and rescue the little one. And it has a very profound effect. You're working with it on a level of archetypes and very primal energies. So it just seems like it's simple, a simple visualization, but it's way more than that. It's not officially inner child work or matrix re-imprinting or any of those, because I don't use processes. I just use, because I'm dealing with people, not machines. But it was very useful several times to kind of reestablish you as the motherly presence, right? And being that to the energy system, which never experienced that, and therefore is stuck in that place, right? It's stuck down in the basement of that thing that is missing. So you recognize really that, the heart and soul of what I teach in terms of energy healing, inner reconciliation, EFT, is that you are not your conditioning. If you are, we're screwed. Right? It's going to be nothing but just trying to reprogram yourself as best you can, and right, it's just me one thing after another. But if I'm not my conditioning, then I'm already in the place of authority and power that allows me to completely reprogram the system, right? From this place of the absolute truth, of the absolute self, of pure love, the pure goddess energy, right? The ultimate ideal of mother, the goddess, the womb of the universe, right? Right? In Hindu tradition, the goddess is the supreme. Right? All the gods and goddesses We're born from the goddess, the womb of the universe. We are all in the womb of the goddess. Now, that is you. These are metaphors. They're archetypes. It isn't, you are that, right? Your entire experience, your entire world is within you. You are that goddess. Right? So now let yourself get more and more in touch with that, the you that has never been touched by any of this, and allow that compassion now to turn around and deliver that motherly love. Right? So that now the system begins to feel safe, which is all the child wanted. It just wanted to feel safe. It didn't. Because it didn't feel safe, an explanation had to come up as to why. Well, it's my fault. Since it's my fault, it's my problem. I can compensate. I'll do better, right? I'll be more good. I'll take care of more things. I'll endure more pain, right? Until maybe become a teenager like I did and become a complete rebel. Screw you all. I want nothing to do with you. Everything you want me to do, I'll do exactly the opposite. Want me to good boy? Be a good boy? I'll be the worst boy you could possibly imagine. Just the opposite reaction, right? But underneath it all was still this kid who'd never been loved, who never felt loved. And that night on the experience I had all those years, 50 years ago, it's the first time I could remember feeling loved. It was just, well, life-changing. Okay? So I learned eventually that love was myself. That is who I actually am. And that stepping into that gives me the access to that love that I thought was supposed to come from her, but she wasn't capable of it. So, but now I am. And that's the love that I just continue to send to all the parts of me that remain unloved, that remain hidden, right? And hiding, right? So hopefully that'll do it for you, Annette. Wonderful question. And just notice that these questions are for everybody. These are everyone's questions. I gotta switch my position here. My leg's it's falling asleep. Can't have that. Right, wake up. Okay, next up, Facebook user. Maybe that's Mikey. Could be or somebody else. There's a couple other people. Anyway, namaste, everyone. Do animals have a soul? Well, if I was to give the short answer, according to the definition of soul most people have, the answer would be, of course, yes. They have sentience. They have self-awareness. They have a sense of what life should be like, which also, because that question also means, do animals suffer? And the answer is yes, they do. They do not suffer in the wild, right? They only experience pain. But when we start breeding them and more disgustingly, farming them, sticking them in these small little containers and stuff, they suffer because they are sentient. There is a self there. Now, let me take that to the next level. Because there, in fact, aren't a lot of souls. There aren't a lot of selves. It's like the question, does everything have consciousness? The answer is no. Consciousness has everything. Consciousness is the field in which we are all swimming. And what appears as me, or these flowers, or the tree, or an animal, or the cat that wanders by here every now and then, right, are all condensations of consciousness. So consciousness is within it and without it, right? It experiences through it, but it is not limited to it. So we want to think of the soul as something, it's a form. It's an ephemeral form that resides in a body, right? But look for it. You can't find it. Matter of fact, I think the first forensic operation, the first time they started cutting people open, they were looking for the soul. And now we believe that it's not this, it's this little tiny thing somewhere, this tiny little structure in the neocortex up in the frontal lobe somewhere, and that's the self, that's consciousness. Right? It's absurd. And yeah, we just keep looking for it. Well, how small do you have to get? Is there a consciousness molecule? Right? That this is me. Hi. I mean, the more you think about it, you go, this is absurd. Right? Consciousness is not that. Consciousness is not contained in the body. It is a field that penetrates the body, animates the body, right? But is not limited to the body. And so all beings, whether it be humans, whether it be an animal, even this microphone, have soul. They are the manifestation of soul. Even the most inanimate object is soul, the soul, capital S, soul, right? And, the flavor of soul is, is just kind of like, it's like music, it's groove, right? Soul music, right? It has a particular aspect. You can also use the word spirit. You can use the word mind. You can use the word love. You can use the word presence. You can use the word awareness, consciousness. Think of it as a field, right? And that this field condenses itself into forms, beautiful forms, incredible forms, vast forms, right? But none of those forms are a container for it. They're a manifestation of it. And so in that sense, the animals are on equal footing with you and I. The only difference is that we are that aspect of consciousness that recognizes itself. It is self-aware. Every critter is to a certain degree, but that's the whole meaning of the human, right? That's the aspect of consciousness that we manifest. The wolf manifests an aspect of consciousness. These plants manifest an aspect of consciousness. We humans manifest this aspect of consciousness, but that doesn't make them less. The Aboriginal tribes, the Native Americans, the Aboriginals in every land forever, all going all the way back to Eve in Africa, have always seen this. They've felt this sense of brotherhood with all the other. They didn't see it themselves as superior, just different, right? Clearly, if you're judging superiority based on the capacity to swim, the fish has his hands down, or to climb trees. The chimp has his hands down. To run fast, just about everything. Most critters run faster than we do. So it depends on what the measurement is, right? Our particular gift is to be able to be self-aware. And that's why the greatest sin is to remain unconscious. And the best use of the divine gift that is our existence is to use, enhance, cultivate, and develop the sense of self-awareness, because you then are the self-awareness of all beings. And this is what saves all beings from suffering. So, and this is extremely important. On one level, I just say they have a soul simply because for most people, they can't understand otherwise. And it's one of the ways in which I can point out the evil of animal agriculture and the need for us to stop eating meat, period. There's so many reasons why. And it's not, I'm condemning anybody for doing it, but it is the most destructive practice there is. It's also the source of almost all the viruses. All the things that we're now fighting and having a big argument over vaccines. If there wasn't animal agriculture, most of them wouldn't exist. So we can do a lot to participate in this. But to go to the existential issue, the capacity of human beings is to understand the nature of reality. Right? To understand, to be able to look around and see no difference between yourself and the fox or this plant. Because there isn't. We are all the same. We are all the same consciousness that is condensed into form. Consciousness is the same. The form's different, but the consciousness is the same. Hopefully that will do it for you, Facebook user. Hello, Melissa. Good to see you. Hello to you. There's Merck in a stormy Sweden. Of course, that was an hour or so ago, so maybe it's not stormy anymore. There's Daryl in Maryland. Hello, Daryl. Michael. Michael Shaveni. I don't know why I have a hard time pronouncing your name. Isn't enlightenment the end of suffering? Yes and no. Suffering can end even before full awakening. Right? Once the nature of suffering is understood, even before that sense of I has completely divested itself of all egoic identity, suffering can end. Okay? Because the suffering is caused by my resistance to life. Right? So I can end suffering without knowing fully who I am. Right? Now, if I'm completely identified with form, I'm going to be fighting constantly. So a certain amount of disidentification or awakening must take place. Right? But I always want to point out, we can't think of enlightenment or awakening as if it was a switch. Now I'm not, now I am. Ultimately, that's the case, right? But I don't want to go there, because for most people, it's too much, right? The moment I have some kind of inkling that I am not my conditioning, that my conditioning, there's something out here that is conscious enough to be aware of conditioning, right? That's an awakening. That's a big awakening, right? And you're now on the right track. To the degree that increases and you reestablish yourself, I'm not my conditioning. Therefore, I don't have to fight with it. I'm not subject to its laws, to its rules. It is not my destiny. My whole relationship with it shifts, and I'm no longer as reactive, right? And it is the reaction, right, either in attachment or aversion, right, that creates the suffering. Right? If I'm not in conflict with it any longer, and it's okay what happens, I stop suffering. Right? This is the space, really, in which that which is normally referred to as, is Buddha knowledge, the ultimate awakening. That's the environment in which it emerges. Right? Now, that can all happen at the same time, right? It can go, the switch can flip. Right? But if we're assuming that it needs to, we will completely, we'll always be interpreting, am I enlightened yet? Am I enlightened yet? Right? And so it becomes a quest, this thing I'm trying to grab at, instead of seeing that it is an ever-present reality, and I'm becoming increasingly aware of it. Right? That's the awakening. I'm awakening to what the truth has always been. And when that awakening is complete, you see that this is what you've always been. Right? That's enlightenment. But to the degree that I have seen even that, suffering has begun to dissipate. And any one of my students can tell you that's happened. Suffering has been reduced for them. And the end of suffering is simply the end of our resistance to life. Right? And then that can happen prior to enlightenment, which is great news, right? You can stop suffering now. Right? Even while you're still engaged in life, still somewhat identified with the person, still struggling with problems and that sort of thing, you can struggle without suffering, right? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You don't have to be a Buddha to finally end suffering. I consider that to be good news. Good to see you, Michael. Suzanne, I love the flowers. Very beautiful. Yes. Yeah, the flowers. They were a gift. Yeah, they're very beautiful. They're finally all open. All the tulips have opened. It's really been doing well. So, yes, lovely gift. Henrik, hello from South Germany. Hello, Henrik. Steph, fellow Steph, namaste, G and friends. Always great to be here. Peace and love. There's Tatiana from Toronto, Melissa K. How do we remain love and witness without judgment? What a beautiful question. What a beautiful desire. Right? First, just let me point your attention to that. Because on the spiritual quest, we think, what can I do? I got to be more loving. I got to be more spiritual. How do I remain as love? It can kind of wrap you up in your shorts, right? How many people out there are even asking themselves that question? Spend any degree of time whatsoever pondering, how do I become more loving? How do I witness without judgment? The very fact that you've asked that question shows a deep awakening. As most people say, how do I do better? How do I get what I need? How do we get rid of these bad people, right? How do we destroy the Illuminati or whatever, right? Most people are thinking, they're thinking in terms of conflict, right? They're not thinking in terms of how do I remain in love? So first, just take in the transformation that you've already gone through, that if you hadn't gone through, that question wouldn't even occur to you. And if it did, it'd be like, yeah, whatever, right? Or it'd be theoretical. To actually bring it to me that you really want that. I can feel it in your heart. You really want that. All right, so how do you do it? Well, first off, the desire to do it, right, is the energy that will make it happen. It's the nature of desire. Desire comes battery included. It is the energy of manifestation to manifest itself. And when the desires begin to align in these high desires, rather than, I just want more of this, or I want a better one of these, right? Which is fine. They're desires too. But as spiritual maturity takes place, it gets reflected in the quality of desire, right? Until the desire becomes, I want to be pure love. I want to be one with God. I want to be free of all ego. I want to save all suffering beings from suffering. Right? Notice the desire getting purer and purer and purer. So first off, it wouldn't be occurring to you if it wasn't already happening. It's not something you actually have to do. It's something you allow. So now we can train ourselves to align more with this energy of love that is appearing in larger measure in your life. Now, how will you do that? Well, wisdom, right? Okay, I'm witnessing. And when I witness certain things, I notice judgments come up in me, right? Okay, cool. Now, I can look at that judgment and say, oh, it's terrible. I should be spiritual. How do I get rid of that judgment? And look, you've just made a fight with it. And what happens to something you fight with? You plug it in, right? You give it brand fresh, new, nourishing food, right? All it is a conditioned pattern that has arisen. An event has taken place. I witnessed that event, right? Inside is a deep desire to be a pure witness without judgment, and a judgment appears, right? Now, all you need is the wisdom to recognize that judgment is the conditioning. You've been conditioned to react with judgment to that particular event. You go, so now I can embrace both the event and the judgment, right? Because I am now witnessing the judgment. So now I don't have to get rid of it, right? I can recognize, right, of course, there was a time when holding that judgment kept me in a state that at the time kept me safe. If I judged a particular thing, what that means is I won't do it. That's wrong to do. And if any desire in you came up to do that, you'd squash it like a bug, right? And so judgment becomes a way of once again, your parents say you shouldn't do this enough times, it sinks in, I shouldn't do it. And so when I do it, or even think of doing it, or feel like doing it, right, I judge it, right? I criticize it and I shove it down into the basement. That's how this mechanism works at keeping stuff suppressed. So now the judgment comes up and you go, oh, the judgment is there. I'm going to just embrace this judgment. And what are you protecting me from? I'm going to get punished if I want that. So you're judging it in you, so you'll judge it in somebody else as well. What it really means is you're judging it in you. And you may even want what it is you're judging, right? But you can't own it. So it projects itself outward. So you said you just kind of turn it around inside. Right, this judgment is part of the protective mechanism. So I totally accept it. I totally forgive it. And just go, okay, why are you here? Right? Is there really something in me that needs to be criticized and threatened with punishment in order to be good, to be moral, to be pure, to be kind, to be honest? Do I need the threat of punishment? Do I need Yahweh? Do I need this wrathful God watching every thought that I make? Or am I capable of actually choosing the best? Now I'm in the position where, okay, I needed judgment before to keep me good, to keep me in line, but I was keeping in line with this particular set of values that belong to them. I don't really subscribe to those anymore. So maybe this doesn't need to be judged anymore. Maybe it's okay. I have a whole different set here, a whole different standard, a whole different amount of freedom. So I'm going to let that same thing, energy, come up, and I'm going to see if it's as bad as I thought it was, or if it was only bad because they said so, right? So in that place, I reserve the right to say, this isn't for me, which would be not judgment, but discrimination, right? Discernment, right? Judgment always has punishment attached to it. Take off all the punishment. And because God is not punitive, God is corrective. And we say, okay, what's here? And I'm in a higher place where I can truly assess it. Right? So you see, it's a beautiful place. I'm not trying to get rid of judgment, right? That's the harsh way, right? That's, that's spirituality with original sin that slipped in the back door, right? I shouldn't be judgmental, right? I'm feeling judgmental. All right, why is this here? What is it protecting me from? There's something in there. And maybe there's a treasure there. Maybe there's something that I really want that I don't give myself permission to have because somehow I was taught that it was wrong. It was bad. This is where all of our blocks come to creativity, to opportunity, to abundance, to good relationships. They're all that. Because the nervous system has said, that's not safe. This is safe. You can do that. And you find it's not satisfying anymore. So it's a beautiful way to inquire. Just remember, the judgment is a conditioned response to an event. So witness that as well. And you'll recognize it's an amazing phenomena that the witnessing isn't judging, that the judging is appearing to the witnessing. And you're not the same as that. So the witness is always pure. And now the witness can then begin to dismantle the judgment, get to the heart of the issue, and establish the purity through the entire lens of perception. How's that, Melissa Kay? Beautiful. Leaf. Hello, Leaf. Hi, GP. Hi, everybody. I wonder, when uncomfortable feelings arise, I have the option to focus on them non-judgmentally and see them dissolve after a while, which requires effort and feels tense, or notice them, but stay in kind of an unfocused state, which feels effortless and peaceful. Which of these should I practice and is proper surrender? Both seem to allow what is happening. Greetings from Germany. Boy, I have a lot of folks in Germany. I can't wait to do an event there soon. Sometimes it does take effort, but when you say it's an unfocused state, the only thing that I'm looking for here is this a way to just kind of buffer the feeling, right? To just kind of diminish it a little bit. What I would do is I would let my experience lead me, right? And obviously we will gravitate towards the experiences that feel peaceful and effortless. So be with that. But just be open and say, okay, do I need more than this, or is this enough? And just be in that question without trying to come up with an answer, right? Don't let the mind try to answer that. Just be with that question. Is there anything more that needs to be here, right? Because it's a dialogue. Remember, the mission isn't to get rid of the uncomfortable feeling, right? We're not trying to feel better. We're trying to get better at feeling, right? So the uncomfortable feeling is there. You can be in that effortless and peaceful place. Even drop the word uncomfortable, which is just the mind describing it because I don't like it. Even the word itself has resistance built into it. And now just feel it as a pure sensation, and all sensations are neutral. There's no such thing as an uncomfortable. No sensation arises and announces itself as I'm uncomfortable. It just arises, and then the mind categorizes it. Now, some of them are natural. Obviously, if there's a pain in the body, right, it requires attention. But we're not talking about that, which is a tiny, tiny percentage. We're talking about the emotional stuff that comes up, the suppressed feelings, the hurts, that kind of the wounds, the traumas, all of that. So there's an uncomfortable feeling with it. Become curious about the feeling itself. Right? So this isn't a method for getting rid of the feeling or for clearing the feeling away, right? Or clearing the trauma per se. What we're doing is we're becoming this open, safe container in which anything can arise in its natural form. And we then establish a completely different relationship with it, not one that's been predefined by the mind, but a relationship comes out of our direct experience of it. So whatever the sensation is, you go, all right, you're here. Why are you here? So you can go beyond just being present and allowing with it into inquiring into it, right? Because remember, the main purpose is not to get it to dissolve. That you can see that there's a subtle conflict there. I want this to go away, which is the best way to do it, right? It's like, oh, it's here. Now maybe just staying with it, being the effortless place. I totally accept that it's here, which is the allowing is nothing more than learning how to be effortlessly present, because allowing, you're not doing anything. You're just present, right? And then if it dissolves, fine. It's done. It's gone. Just let it. If it comes back up again, just do it again. But you can inquire. If it's there and it's hanging around, you can just say, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to protect me from? Is there anything you need from me? So you can see that's a very cooperative relationship without any intention to change anything, right? In which case, you'll become really clear as to when you need to use some effort to stay present, the horse is bucking and you got to stay on it, or you can just kind of just relax into pure allowing, but allow it to fulfill its own life's purpose. Right? The mission isn't for it to go away. The mission for it is for it to fulfill itself in whatever way it needs to. So everything that comes up, because this is how we get our desires fulfilled as well. When the desire comes up, we let it fulfill itself. Right? We offer it no resistance whatsoever, nor do we glom onto it and say, I have to have this. Right? It's hands off. Right? So comfortable or very desirous, can be very pleasurable. Do the same thing. Right? Just kind of, okay, just move through. Fulfill yourself. Don't fulfill yourself. Do whatever you need to do. Notice I've shifted the relationship and the focus now. So try that out and tell me how it works. I'm very interested to know. Cara Lucy. Hey, GP, thanks for your time. You're welcome. The more I practice presence, the less interest I have in other people or the outside world, and could easily fling my phone out the window. Is this avoidance? No, it's not. It's perfectly natural. What's happening is that the old interests of the egoic mind are fading away. And we want that to happen, right? People get the idea that, oh, I'm just allowing everything, I won't care. I think that somehow the juice of life is going to go away. The juice of life is not dependent upon your ego. In fact, it's inhibited by it. The ego wants to keep everything under wraps and keep everything under this level. As it begins to dissolve, you'll find you're disinterested in things you used to be interested in because you're not seeing them the same. But eventually, a whole new world is going to open up that has way more juice in it. It's way more discerning. It's more sensual. It's more playful. It's more vivid because now you're seeing things as they actually are. And well, I think everybody should fling their phones out the window. It's, you know, it's one of those things that it's become so integrated into us. It's easy to get addicted to it. So turn it off, put it to the side, right? And make sure that you remain in charge of where your mind is going, because the mind is being trained into a level of distraction that is doing nothing but causing us emotional pain and stress. So I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah, just keep practicing presence, right? See, the mind would like you to stop practicing presence, saying, see, it's going to be really dull. It's not going to be interesting at all. Enlightenment, what do you want to be, a Buddha, sit around all day, chant Om? Right? It's no fun. It's like, no, that's not how it works. You are the Buddha. Whatever your life looks like, that's the Buddha life. And so it's not don't have these ideas as to what it's supposed to be. But as the ego is losing its influence over your attention, right, things are going to slip away. Things that used to mean something aren't going to mean anything anymore. They're just going to, And there can be a period in the middle, right, where everything just looks uninteresting, right? But it won't last. Eventually, new things last. And it comes in waves, right? You know, just recently, I was just kind of like disinterested, right? Now, whoop, something's coming. It goes back up again. It's okay, right? Everything comes in a flow. Everything is a wave. Yeah. Great, Carl. Wonderful. Hello, Georgia in London. Good evening, GP. You're so welcome. Hello, Plan. Good to see you. Marlo. Oh, hello, Marlo from Wisconsin. There's Melissa. Thank you. That was helpful. Good. Master GP, Facebook user. That must be Mikey. A friend of mine, Face says, a friend of mine yesterday told me to imagine the life I wanted, and my God, I felt the resistance all over my body. I like EFT, but I don't know how to create the right statement to tap on it. I'm grateful for your answer. I feel things opening up inside of me. Well, I get plenty of people who can help you with the to tap on it. But first, I'll say, I totally release and let go of all of my attachment to resisting what I want. I understand why I'm resisting it. I understand why it's there. It's just trying to keep me safe. And I'm going to give myself permission to begin to allow my own feelings, because I really do want this. And I'm letting myself want it. Just say things like that. Don't try to make it so formal. It's going to be, that's one of the things that inhibits people about using EFT is, well, what do I say, right? Whatever's on your mind, right? Just be really clear and truthful. I feel resistance, and yet I want this. And it's like, okay. And just allow yourself to continue. Give yourself permission to be willing, even though if it's uncomfortable, to visualize what it is you want, right? And this may sound strange coming from a non-dual teacher, but but we can't use non-dual language as a tool for suppression. We have to come into right relationship with the energy system as it is, and that includes both desire and resistance. They just need to be safe. They need to grow, right? The need to have a sense of identity. With that harmonious relationship established, then you can begin to transcend it. So they already started opening. Hey, there's Jonas. Renak, Hi, GP. Nisargadatta Maharaj said, when one tries to control outcomes, they're essentially removed from liberation. I get that. But is there a difference between, say, practicing on an instrument to improve versus someone employing things like positive thinking and the law of attraction, etc.? Seems like there is a difference in intent, but please talk about your interpretation. Yeah, the desire to control is, I'm trying to, there's an energy about it, right? You know, when I was a musician practicing the instrument, I didn't have to force myself to do that. Right? It wasn't control. I was engaged. I was engaged in mastering an art, in growing and expanding. And this is part of the process of doing that. Right? So it wasn't control at all. Right? You know, he's trying to, like, I'm going to make this happen. You know, like a tyrant. You know, the politicians, or people are trying to control your behavior. Fundamentalist religions, right? Judaic law or Christian law or Sharia law, right? It's got to be this way. They're trying to control. It's completely different. And yes, it cuts you off from liberation because it's a reflection that you're trying to control yourself. You're in a completely antagonistic relationship with yourself, which means you see of yourself as this ugly mortal sinner who has to be contained, but through threat of punishment, or you do all sorts of horrible things. What a horrible self-image. Right? So yes, that has to be gotten rid of, but it's not a disengagement with life, right? It's not trying to control. In a sense, I'm controlling, right? If I'm practicing my instrument, whatever that might be, I am training my fingers to respond in a particular way automatically. Is that, you can call that control, and yeah, it's kind of a form of control, but it's really just kind of the necessity of training the energy system. I'm not trying to control circumstances. I'm not trying to control people, right? I'm only trying to control my relationship with myself. I'm trying to bring myself out of ignorance and into wisdom, out of unconsciousness and into consciousness. So it's completely different, as you said, in intention. Completely different. And notice that control is a manifestation of a deep fear. Right? Really, the fear of dying and the fear of lack, I'm trying to control it. Right? And of course, you can't control life. You can't control what your body does. You can't control really what your mind does. Even meditation is not mind control. You're not trying to control the mind. You're trying to shift your relationship with it. I'm bringing my attention away from it. I'm not engaging with it as an enemy anymore. I'm just watching it as patterns. And in that process, it's not that I get more control over it. I am now in right relationship with it. So it's no longer out of control. But I'm not controlling it. Right? And it's not controlling me either. So now it just slows down by itself because I'm not feeding it any energy. I don't have to try to make it do that. So it's all where your love and your intention and attention goes. So thanks, Ronak. Hello, Dale. Good to see you in Massachusetts. Jonas, the GP of the thought came to you today to ask you something about the lines of what personal individual recommendation, guidance, or like would you give me? Be ruthless and full on if need be. Well, he can ask that because he's currently in a class of mine, and I've gotten to know Jonas. You're in another one too, and you've been in satsangs and the like. Well, it's kind of the forget all the spiritual knowledge you've gained. You'll have use for it later, right? Because you have a lot. You've acquired a lot of spiritual knowledge. Think less, speak less, and listen more. Listen to your feelings without trying to describe them, right? Without having to communicate in great depth, right? Because it can distract you and get you subtly into your head instead of really in direct contact with your feelings. The feeling comes up, maybe it's, part of the physical illnesses you've been experiencing or some kind of emotional thing or whatever it might be. You'll notice that your mind has immediately wants to jump into, so, oh, this is that, and this has come from this, and because connecting all these dots, right? The mind connecting dots with our feelings, although it really appears to, and it feels like it makes sense. There's no difference in looking up at the night sky and connecting dots and making, I don't know, a bear or a fire hydrant, right? Or looking at a cloud and seeing a face. It's not there. The mind's making it up and projecting it. Right? So whatever you think about the feelings is not it. Right? It will always be some kind of a reduction, the mind trying to abstract it, categorize it, and stick it so it can say, I understand it, which it doesn't. Okay? So put all of that aside and just actually feel directly. And whatever curiosity about what it is, ask it. Ask the feeling. Ask the illness. Right? All right, what is this about? What are you protecting me from? Right? There's something energetic going on here. You are the result of some traumatic material. And what is trauma? The inability to be myself, right? That has been shut down, which takes away the energy, and it manifests in all sorts of both emotional disturbances and literally physical illnesses. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I can't say that with authority, but there's plenty of doctors that do say that with authority. And there's been plenty of studies about it, that in fact, it's not even controversial that I say it. It's just not the mainstream as of yet. But when you have people like Gabor Mate and others who are actively discussing it, it's only a matter of time before it'll be recognized. But it's going to have to integrate itself into the school system, medical education, in order for that to actually, flourish. But enough of that. You yourself can simply recognize that that's what's there, right? And just drop all your ideas as to what you thought it was. Even your ideas about, how to heal the energy or, whatever things you need to do. Also, something else I've noticed about you and a lot of others as well, in these times that are very polarized, with everybody thinking this is the good guy, this is the bad guy, kind of withdraw, taking sides on any of the issues that are going on in the world right now. Right? It's not that I want to turn you into a milquetoast, but we can get easily stuck into a particular position, and that locks down the energy. What we are seeking is real wisdom. What our times need now is genuine wisdom. And that's a wisdom that comes from having no assumptions and not taking any sides, so that the whole thing can become nuanced. So I officially let you off duty from saving the world. It's no longer your job. So those are a few little tidbits I can throw out to you. So thank you for asking that, and I'll see you on Thursday. You can tell me how that unfolded for you. Let's see. Hello, Emma. Nice to Feigenberg. Hello, Emma. Jonathan, I think you may be new. Not sure I recognize that name. Jonathan Stemmer, I think you might be new. GP, your teaching aligns beautifully with A Course of Love. Oh, good. Because if anything is true, it had to emerge from the same place, because truth is truth, right? So if I say it one way, somebody else says it a different way. The local inflection, the accent that it has doesn't matter, right? You can say You can say the same thing in multiple different languages. It'll sound completely different. In one language, you might not understand it at all, right? Many languages might. If you're from America, you don't understand anything except English. Um, uh, you recognize because it is the same truth. And sometimes it's so powerful that even when you hear it in another language and you don't understand it, you still get it. Beautiful. So I'm glad, Jonathan. You also seem like you might be new. Play on. How do I handle my OCD? Sometimes I get fearful thoughts about hurting loved ones. I know it's only thoughts, and I know I won't hurt anyone, but it's very scary and convincing when it happens. Yes, it's going to be scary and convincing because it doesn't come just as a thought, it comes as feelings. Right? So the first thing is to get some distance. That you've seen that you're not your thoughts, because you can see that. But there's still part of you that thinks I am my feelings, and that somehow my feelings need to get better. I need to feel better. You know, I'm a broken record about it now. You don't need, we're not trying to get you to feel better. We're getting you better at feeling. I heard that from Gabor Mate. He was quoting somebody else, and I don't know who it came from originally, but it's perfect, right? So first get some distance. Oh, right. It's very scary and convincing. The mind says it's convincing, right? It's just a feeling, right? If that thought said it's scary and convincing never occurred to you, what would you have? Just be a sensation. Not necessarily a pleasant one, but there wouldn't be this sense of, I got to get rid of it. I got to get away from it, right? They're the same need to run away, because the mind has said, this is it. Oh, this is not good. Get away, get away, get away, right? So drop the notion of it's scary and convincing, right? It's just a feeling, right? It's just a feeling. It can't convince you of anything, right? It's not arguing its case. It's just there, right? So, okay. Then you could specifically use EFT to say, you know, I totally accept this OCD. You're here for a reason. You know, what am I trying to do? Oh, I'm trying to be safe. I've ritualized being safe. My nervous system has become convinced that if I do these things over and over again, then I'll be safe. I wonder if that's really true. I really want to be safe. My nervous system wants to be safe. Maybe there's a way I can be safe without it. Maybe not. Right? That's how I begin to tap on it. Right? Oh, tapping keeps coming up more and more. I've got a whole bunch more tapping I have to do. So that's how I begin to approach it. But first get that distance, right? Notice that the feeling is there. The mind says it's scary and convincing. The mind has now identified with a position. It's put itself in opposition to it. And now all the energy is trying to get away from that feeling, right? And that's the intensity behind it. So, oh, I don't have to get away from it. I can't. I mean, it's there. It's useless for me to see how to get away. It's here, right? Okay, it's here, right? And it's not convincing me of anything. It's not arguing its case at all. It's just a feeling has arisen. It's like, okay, here's the feeling. Let me be with that. Right? It's funny when you do OCD, it kind of looks like you do tapping. It kind of looks like you have OCD. My little ritual I got to do. It's actually a bit more than that. Oh, Bob. Hello, dearest GP. When I listen to you, my heart fills with love. Yet somehow, when I go back to my daily life, I tend to forget the truth of who I am and fall back into old patterns. All my love to you. Hey, welcome to being human. Now, what happens when you go back to daily life? Now, you've been around long enough, Bob, that you can get this. And I call her Bob, by the way, because I can't pronounce her name. When you go back to your daily life, you are not forgetting the truth of who you are. Because the truth of who you are is not a thought that you can remember or forget. It's what you are, right? Right. What happens is the nervous system is simply getting triggered as it knows to do. So those triggers are still in place. So You come out of it, you go back in, the triggers gets triggered. And then the mind says, I forgot the truth of being. Give an explanation for what in fact is just a triggering, right? Muji put it beautifully. He said, I am. Before the idea that I could forget or the idea that I need to remember was believed. Did you get that? I am. That's the truth. I am always the truth. The truth of me is the truth of me. Right? It's not a truth about me. It is the truth of me. Right? I am. Before the idea that I could forget or the idea that I needed to remember was believed. So if I believe I can forget, I will experience the forgetfulness, right? But it isn't real. I'm merely experiencing something I myself have brought into existence. It isn't real. It hasn't really happened. You haven't actually forgotten yourself because you're the one experiencing it. All you're actually experiencing is the triggers that are still there from your everyday life. That's it. That's all that's happening. Once you see that, you'll stop thinking of yourself as getting sucked back into it, and you'll simply see yourself, I'm always here. This reacts. I stay here. The reaction doesn't have legs anymore. It can't hook on, and eventually it will just poof. It will just dissolve because your attention to it, either by fear of it, indulgence of it, wanting it to go away, wondering if I lost it, all of those feed it. So take all of that away. I am. That's the truth. The even the reactive patterns couldn't be there if you weren't there first, right? And they're not there all the time, so they're not inherent in you. There's simply something coming and going. So be really clear about who you are and what the reactive patterns are. Right? I'm not my conditioning. I'm aware of my conditioning. And this conditioning is very subtle. It takes the form of thoughts, emotions, and sensations, and even events. It can create events, right? It can make stuff happen. It can break things, right? Because that energy is connected to everything of the manifest world, which is the slowest vibration of consciousness, you might say. How's that? How's that, Bob? Jonathan. Let me see. Let me quick through here. Love. Our task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all barriers we have built against it. Rumi. What can I add? It's Rumi. Right? We don't seek for love because love is your nature. You are love. Right? If that's understood, the whole relationship now is not, I'm trying to get loved. I'm trying to be more loving. I'm trying to understand more of love. I'm trying to be more spiritual. It's like, oh, I already am that. But yes, there's obstacles. There's things that come up. What's the nature of these things that come up that inhibit my capacity to love? Fear, doubt, ignorance, assumptions, beliefs. Oh, but my nature is love. So really, I'm just clearing away all the obstacles to it. Right? I am the perfect infinite pianist. The piano's broken. It's out of tune. All right. What do I got to do? I got to put the legs back on. I got to fix the keys. I've got to tune it back up. So it's a better instrument of self-expression. But you are now and always have been love. It's another name for the self. Let's see, Tatiana. Yes, nervous system needs love, not the innocent self, because it is love itself. Yes, you are love itself. Beautiful answer, and I can relate. Hello, GP and friends. Wonderful. Oops, jumped ahead again. Finally got courage to ask someone that. Thank you for your answer, GP. I've had the issue for about 5 years now. When it started, I was convinced I had gone completely crazy. No, you haven't. You're going sane, my friend. Yeah, and it's getting to be contagious. Yeah. Oh, look at all the support of people putting out there for you. Well done, plan. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it. One of the ways, the courage of that is so important, because one of the ways these things that we suffer from stay in place is by hiding, right? It's my dirty little secret. I can't tell anybody about it, right? The moment you do, it's like, you know, in your mind, it's this huge thing. It's just, you know, everybody's going to say unclean, you know, I'm going to be a leper. Everybody's going to reject me, right? So keep it to yourself. That's how one of the ways in which holds on to it. And then you put it out there and everybody goes, dude, no big deal. We love you. And you go, oh, oh, I don't have to hide it. Oh my God, we're all bozos on this bus. We're all messed up, right? You know, this is my particular flavor of it, but somebody's got something else. You know, somebody smokes cigarettes, or, you know, you know, somebody's easily distracted. It's like, it's like, yeah, it's like, it's all of us. Let's see. Good evening from Italy. Glad to be here again and to see you. Are fine. Love this topic. I love to listen. Simply listen to what is being said and to the silence where everything comes from. Yes. Oh, hi, Amy. So thank you, Peter. David, the truth is so simple, not complicated by the mind. How beautiful to abide in the simplicity of this presence. Expressing our deep gratitude for you always reminding us of this. Yes. Yes. Well, that's, what else could you do, right? Alexander, how to dissolve fear of what others will think. I'm aware that it's blocking my actions and authenticity, but is there some more? No, I don't see any more. Okay. Well, first, this is a fun little exercise. Notice that it's what you think others are thinking. Now tell me, do you know what somebody else is thinking? You assume they're going to think in a certain way. Okay? So first, just become really skeptical that you have any idea what someone else is thinking. And you'll find, you know what? They're not thinking about you at all. They're afraid of what you're going to think of them. Everybody's doing that. Right? And put it to the test. Be willing to courageously do something when you would have held back, something small. You don't have to start with something huge. When you would have held back, and see what the reaction is. Notice there's an assumption there that says, if I do this, they're going to think ill of me, right? Now, there were obviously times in your life when that actually happened. The nervous system retracted. When your nervous system retracts, especially when you're young, it doesn't have any subtlety or nuance to it. It goes to the position of absolute safety, which means if anything is bad, I'm going to hide myself from them completely. I will risk no exposure whatsoever. This is simply the way the nervous system works, right? So you don't have to make a big deal out of it, right? But that's because you're young. That's all you can do because you don't really have much power, right? So now you're an adult and you find that same mechanism inhibiting you, right? And yet the only reason it's a problem is because it's blocking your action. Something is in the way now, and you're wanting to be more authentic, right? You're not, but these thoughts are there that's saying, what are they going to think? Well, first notice that's just a thought. And in fact, you'll never know unless you ask them. So it becomes a matter of being willing, maybe what I think they're thinking is not what they're thinking. Or what I think they're going to think isn't. Why don't I give them the benefit of the doubt, show them something about me, and see what happens? Yeah, some may go, right? I get nasty comments on YouTube, right? So if I was worried about what people were going to think, I would not be doing this, right? And I got to tell you, even now, somebody says something, and you guys go, ooh, it stings, right? Right? but I can't put it out there, not act because of what I think they might think. I put it out there and I know what they think. But the vast majority don't think that, right? I let them tell me. Now, when you're a child, you can't risk that. You do anything to keep from, because it's just too humiliating, right? And you want to be accepted and you need friends and all of that sort of stuff. So we compromise our authenticity in order to be accepted by the tribe. And it happens, right? And this is the essential conflict. This is where the original trauma comes from, the existential crisis. I just want to be myself, that is authentic, reach for what I want, like what I want, say what I want, but I get smacked by the tribe. And the need to bond to the tribe, for pure survival has more weight than that self-expression or authenticity. And so authenticity gets sent to the basement, layers of behavior to keep it there, right? But now you're no longer under the thumb of the tribe anymore. So we have to go through the process now of taking off those layers so authenticity can reemerge. And so what you're seeing is, when I want to express myself, there's a physical resistance to doing it, because it assumes you're going to be thought bad of, you're going to be diminished, which really it's associated all the way going back to a child. I will be rejected by the tribe and I will die. That's what it's thinking. That's what it's feeling on that level. And then there's thoughts that come up. Oh, you're afraid of what others think. And then on top of that, now you've got some spiritual ideas and psychological ideas saying, oh, I shouldn't be afraid of what other people think. Just say, and now you're you're afraid of what you're thinking about yourself. You're afraid of your own thinking of yourself, right? And just put all of that to the side. Of course, this is what happened. Your nervous system was conditioned to try to avoid negative reactions from other people. It happened to all of us, right? And now you know that that's getting in the way of your life. So let's begin to just dismantle that through scrutiny. And again, this is a place where EFT, that kind of energy healing, can really have a profound effect. It's not magic, right? It is simply a way to help the nervous system have the experience of being safe enough that it can begin to drop some of those defenses and some of those layers can begin to come off. That's it. It communicates safety through touch. That's all it does. That's the only thing you need about it. So I'm going to leave it at that because we're just at the time here. Good at feeling as opposed to feeling good. Yes. GP Walsh quote. I wish I could take credit for that. I don't know who said that. Gabor Mate couldn't remember who said that. And see, Curiousnessify says, Lisa Berry, love your energy in the videos with GP. Yep. That's why she's my producer and host. She brought that energy. Creative Rebel. Hello, Susanna. So glad to be here. No place else I'd rather be than with the G family. Family G. That's right. Mary says, thank you, clan. Not helpful to myself, my friend Barbara. And a great answer, GP. Positive Patty. Evening. Every time I say it, I have to say that with Positive Patty. I did it again. Positive Patty. Positive Patty. All right. I can get enough voice. There's just something about that name that just seems so Irish. I just have to say it with an Irish accent. Okay. Playing, you're not alone. Everybody just, playing. Give me 5. Yeah. EFT plus ERP helps too. GP rocks though. And ERP, I can't remember what that is. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of the various kinds of energy healing techniques. I think whole field now called energy psychology. I use EFT. It's the one I learned. It's the easiest to learn as far as I know. I don't know about ERP. Gets results very quickly. It's been subject to a lot of different studies and the like. So it has a scientific basis that's actually, not by real research scientists, so it's a really powerful, it's a really powerful tool. And I know there are others, and there's different points you can use in the like. So Rennick and Plan says, thank you. Feel good to hear you're not alone. Renek, absolutely. Try the No OCD app. Oh, NOACP. I didn't know there was such a thing. There you go. That could be helpful too. Yeah, the first thing is realize that healing is possible. And then you let the natural intelligence of your energy system find the right way. It may be EFT, it may be just self-inquiry, right? Or there may be an app, right? You don't have to dictate it, and don't go don't go looking for tools, right? Stay first with the energy itself, and it will find the tools, right? Right. That this way we don't get wrapped up in just accumulating more knowledge, because the mind would love to keep us looking for a solution rather than having one, because it's attached to that particular uh, that particular position that it's in, that's given rise to these symptoms. So we just have to be really wise about that. I used to chase a bunch of different things, and I realized it's actually keeping me stuck in that loop, right? Which is why when I teach a variety of things, like I teach the chakras, I do classes on the chakras, right? And I used to teach, just the way normal everybody would teach, from bottom to top. And I realized that most of the problems that we suffer from are focused in the bottom three. It's the instinctual nature. Bottom three. It really represents our animal instinctual nature. It's the unconscious part of us, right? We can get so engaged in releasing problems and handling all sorts of stuff that's all we do is fix problems. And if all we do is fix problems, the mind will just create more problems to fix. So the very first thing I do is I teach about having a vision, which is the sixth chakra, the visionary. Having a vision, it gives a focus for it that isn't problem solving, right? That becomes an adjunct to the liberating the visionary within you, the creative intelligence, the true authenticity, right? Which then has to, it has to get the cooperation of the whole deal, but it isn't all about problem fixing, right? It's about removing blocks in the most gentle and loving way to our vision of what is possible. So, exposure response prevention. That's interesting. I'll look that up. Commonly referred to as ERP, is a therapy that encourages you to face your fears and let obsessive thoughts occur without putting them right. Very close. Neutralizing them with compulsions. Very good. Yes. It's like inner reconciliation. Only in inner reconciliation, I bring in that sense of I am not the conditioning. I'm always the witness watching it, which gives you the ultimate power over it. Okay. It's get hearts from Bob and Alessandra. Is it wise to consciously visualize fear and triggering situation in order to dissolve them? Thank you. I do that with my students in class and with private sessions. I do it, right? Until someone has gotten a bit of experience and is more advanced, don't do it to yourself. You don't need to, right? If you have a desire for something, right, you're going to trigger it, right? And it will come to mind. Any circumstance that we're afraid of, it's going to come to mind anyway, right? So you don't have to purposely do it, right? I do have a program called Just Allow It, and the second section, it's 5 volumes. The second volume is called Intentional Triggering. But before I introduce that, I have it's like an hour or so of exercises for simple body awareness, simply being present with whatever you're feeling without any judgment or attempting to change anything. Right? Then, oftentimes, that's enough to release a lot of stuff, to dissolve a lot of the stuff that we're suffering from. Some other stuff can be more sticky, but once you've trained yourself to be in that yoga of allowing, that place of pure allowing, you can begin to inquire and intentionally trigger things, because you're already very, very solidly entrained into the posture or the yoga, the asana of allowing. So when the feelings come up and the desires come up, you're not clinging to one and resisting the other anymore. But a training needs to take place first before you can do that, right? Don't try to do that, because all that'll do is like, that's trying to like face your fears, right? Be afraid and then push your way through, which never works. Never works. Okay, not sometimes works, never works, right? Because the nervous system is better at this game than you are. So thank you, everybody. Yes, GP is the most helpful. Thank you. Rennick, ultimately the witness. Yes, that's the difference. That's the difference in the spiritual approach to energy healing or any kind of healing modality, which I do, is this inherent absolute sense of the I, right? It draws its authority from that non-dual inquiry. Who is the actual I? Psychology doesn't. Nothing else does that, right? And in my experience, not the non-dual teachers don't do enough of. Well, that's why I do it, right? Because I think both sides have to be covered. Right? Actually, I take that back. They do. I've actually developed it into a process, right? Which I don't think anybody else has. But does make me better. Just all the years as a metaphysical healer and the psychology stuff I do, it was just a natural thing for me to do. So we'll leave it at that, folks. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being my friend. Thank you all for your honesty. Thank you all for your courage, right? All of you who have just kind of been willing to reveal yourself a bit here in a forum that was people who love you. And I can tell you through all the comments that I get on the satsang and excerpts that I do, nobody ever criticizes the questions or the questioners or you. The ones who are critical, it's of me. All right, everybody. I love you all. Love you, love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time.